Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be checking out Sprouht, as he has a video that he put out a while ago called Why Dating Today is Nearly Impossible. Now, relationships and concepts like it is stuff we've covered previously on the channel. I've never heard of Sprouht myself, but I figured this would be a good time to check out his perspective and how he goes about the problems that do exist. For anyone not familiar with my content, stay tuned till the end to hear my full thoughts. So, without further ado, all right, let's get into it. Why dating today is nearly impossible. Good little segue.
Love is one of the few things that every single one of us needs, but is so hard to receive. Between the fear of fake dating profiles, commitment, and the sheer amount of time it takes to just find one match, it's no wonder why dating today is harder than it's ever been. This video, through social experiments and deep conversations, is going to uncover why it is so damn hard to date today and give clarity on how, despite all of that, you can still find the love that you deserve.
Is dating today, in your opinion, harder than it's ever been?
I was friends with my boyfriend before we started dating, and I feel like that's a more natural transition than like seeing features on your screen and trying to make a decision based on like a list of things.
People just try and avoid things because I think they're scared to say things straight up.
One red flag and you're kind of like, oh, I could go find somewhere else. You don't need to have one person when you could have like 5.
Honestly, I don't know. I've had really bad luck. So everything. Like, I've been treated like shit.
I think a big part of it is because of social media.
People see a lot, they exposed to a lot. They're always looking for better.
Everyone is always looking for the best thing, and they always think something else is around the corner, and you almost have too much access to too many people.
So when it comes to dating, the biggest problem that I've noticed from everyone's answers seems to be social media and online dating apps.
So I got in touch with Talia, a relationship and love coach, to discuss how to create an optimal dating profile.
So some things I look for right away: pictures of eyes. You certainly want to start with a photo of yourself. According to science, you bode better if you're facing the camera, not looking away for at least your first photo. I get weirded out by borderline nudity photos. I find that sends the impression of you're trying to show that you're physically attractive because you want someone physically attractive because you're interested in something casual.
I think like the more obnoxious you try to make such things, the more you make it obvious exactly as to what kind of person you are, but as well as what you're looking for. Because I think that when we focus on the aesthetic, we keep things a lot of things really safe. My issue with the approach so far, it's how are we tailoring a better approach to dating apps? Like, I get it, that's the majority of the market nowadays, but you even have people in their youth on college campuses admitting to, well, they had a sense of immediacy around them, people that they grew up with that they can trust as people they know the character of. Now, is that kind of playing safe? Yeah, a little bit. I guess you can use that perspective as, well, here's this person I grew up with and I know a lot about them already, or for the most part, and this is for sure the safe option. But that's not all, obviously that's not always what that means. It's just when you compare that, like they said, to a profile of data, you don't know sometimes. And I think that when people are so focused on putting the best version of them forward and they think that that's their permanence, I don't know, there's some issues there.
Spelling mistakes, don't confuse the your and the your. It's not even necessarily that it marks a lack of intelligence, it marks a lack of attention to detail. And I think every woman wants to feel like you're going to pay attention to her. And if you can't even pay attention to your profile, why would you pay attention to her?
Have you ever used online dating apps?
I've had an app for like a week, and then I was like, I don't like this. I like meeting organically, like at a bar.
is ideal, or like through mutual friends or something.
I feel like a lot of the people on these apps can't really meet my standards, especially within the gay community. We love to judge people. One of those days I was like, oh, let me just go in there, and this guy messaged me and he was saying, oh yeah, you're cute, da da da, and then he goes like, oh, I like super masculine guys, and I was like, okay, well, that's really weird. Like, I don't think I'm feminine, I don't think I'm masculine, I'm just me. How are you gonna say that you don't like feminine guys if you haven't even met me?
So do you think it's a good or bad thing overall?
It feels like a little like nook or cranny if you're like really busy. Like, I don't drink, so after work, how am I gonna like meet someone?
It's apparent that the lack of nonverbal communication in today's dating world is what is primarily causing this fear of commitment and this inability to appreciate the person in front of you. But was the dating world always like that? Well, for better or worse, here's an example of what it used to look like.
You do realize that the last time I went on a date was like 1999?
That's when I was born. What was it like to date back then?
Well, you picked a spot and you just showed up and waited. Back then, it was like all about getting a phone number, you know, on a napkin. It's like, I got her digits! It was so exciting. Now you guys just like swipe left, right, and make stuff happen.
Is that a good or bad thing, though?
So right in between the times, I guess. He's aware of both.
You might kind of judge like, hey, what's going on in the world by everything you see in your feed, but people probably just post like, you know, happy moments, like the sunny days, not maybe like the rainy days where we have a harder time. One way to see it is like you have different tools and different ways you can go about it, and so go out, leverage them, and find what works best for you.
Did you ever get ghosted?
Ghosted? Ooh, that did not exist back then.
Really?
No, that would be like a really awful thing to do. There was something called social connections back then, you know?
So if dating used to look so much better back in 1999, then our job in today's dating world should be to bring back some of that old magic.
Can you describe how you feel right now?
This is Trevor, one of my childhood friends.
Are you actually filming? Yeah. I'm incredibly nervous, to be honest. Very anxious.
Why are you nervous?
I'm not trying to talk to strangers, dude.
He's an amazing guy that suffers from a common problem that most people in today's dating world have. They don't know how to approach someone.
What does confidence look like?
You're very sure about everything that you do, and you're able to express that really openly.
It's probably just bringing the best you can bring to be yourself.
Not comparing yourself to others.
When a person knows their worth, but also can be humble about it.
The thing about confidence is if you don't have it, you have nothing. I used to believe that if you were just ballsy enough to walk up to the girl and talk to her and ask her out, then that was enough. But the truth is that confidence actually looks many different ways.
What are some things that someone can do to be more confident in the aspect of dating specifically?
Change the people you hang out with. If any one of like your friend is like judging you, but like something you do, skip it.
I think you have to start with accepting yourself and experimenting with that, trying to figure out what you like, and then express that to other people that you trust and see what their reaction feedback could be. You start that way until you get comfortable with your skin, and then you start that with strangers and see where that goes.
You just kind of have to remember that like most of the stuff in this life doesn't matter as long as you're not hurting other people. So if there's something that you enjoy, just do it.
Trevor and I have been friends since we were 3 years.
I would argue that that's on the basis of like mindfulness, being aware of your strengths and weaknesses and what you're actively doing in the face of those weaknesses. And then the more you achieve a sense of success, not only with a tract of yourself, but success out in the world as well. And you see what genuinely works, not with obviously, because a lot of people can be malicious and be successfully malicious through acts of deception and stuff like that. That's obviously not the thing that you want to positively condition, or essentially condition so that it happens more. But in a sense that there is a sense of altruism that you find in your actions with others. And the more that you can concrete that, and the more you're grounded in a sense of knowing who you are, then putting that forward, you're going to be less concerned with being denied or being rejected, because you know and understand that rejection is just an externalized opinion, that's not tied to you, and it doesn't have to be tied to you. And I think that when you're very mindful of yourself, you know what is externalized and you know what's internalized, and you can make the difference. So you're more confident in the face of rejection because you know that that's just their opinion and it doesn't have to be a label.
Old, so we know each other really well and we're very similar people. You've said sometimes you feel really high in terms of confidence, and sometimes you feel really low. Why is that?
It's usually a reflection of how things are going in my life. I wasn't very proud of the things I had done or who I was. I feel like, especially during high school, sometimes I was trying to be someone I wasn't, and it was just like impossible for me to be confident. I like to think that I deserve to be confident, deserve to have a nice life, but that's not how that works, unfortunately.
There could be a lot of matches and a lot of potential happiness if we were just confident enough to go for it or shoot our shot, or at least take the first step. But you can only do that if you know who you are. And in order to know who you are, you also have to know what you want.
What is your ideal first date?
Has to have alcohol.
Yeah, something that's casual and has an escape plan.
I think the date itself doesn't matter as long as afterwards you go on a long walk.
In the past, I would prefer to do things where there's an activity involved. So if there's like a lull in the conversation, it's not super awkward.
I'm not picky. It could be just a walk.
Take what you can get.
I just want to set my expectations so low.
I like to go for an activity because you don't really know the person. If the date goes badly, at least you have something to do. So I would say maybe like a game of pool or having a coffee and then going for an activity.
What is the most romantic thing someone
Yeah, a sense of immediacy, something to do in between the conversation. So that way, if you are concerned about the conversation, you have something to take away from the focus of the conversation. I think, pool or whatever, something that mediates, obviously, the frictions that pure conversation can kind of get in the way of. Now, obviously, you have a lot of people that are very obnoxious with their approaches through conversation, and they're just talkaholics, where they'll talk your ear off. But this is more in so reference to just people who maybe aren't that way, and it's towards a broader audience who's not just so secured in their method of communication, because a lot of people don't like to be talked to so much too. And so, there's a little bit of friction there as to what's best, something in between.
has ever done for you?
It's kind of cheesy. I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years, and we went to Subway, and when we came back, he set the table and lit candles, and we ate our Subway sandwiches, which are typically not very romantic, right? But it was just so sweet to try and make something that's usually not that special a little bit more special.
This guy, I kept telling him I couldn't hang out, and on Mondays I'd watch The Bachelor, and he watched 10 episodes of The Bachelor just so he could watch it with me and know what he's talking about.
Oh, that's
I know,
cute.
it was really nice. I like that.
Okay, bonus question. Would you rate my friend on 10?
Okay, let me see. Okay. A good solid 9 on 10 is good.
Wow, you're a 9.
Yeah. How do you feel? What would you rate yourself on 10?
I'd say 7.5.
Why 7.5?
I think it depends on what I'm wearing. I'm taking better care of myself now, so it's going up slowly.
Do you think you have to look good to feel good, or you have to feel good to look good?
I think because I don't feel as good, it helps when I look good. But I do believe that if you feel good, you will look good.
What a match you two are.
I mean, in the sense of romance, I feel like romance is just measured by effort, and any woman that is actually there to value your time or there for genuine interest and not just there because they're bored, because obviously that can be perceived pretty poorly, is the more effort that you put in, even into the small things. People think that you need to do some grand chariot type stuff. You don't. I mean, if there's genuine interest there, then that doesn't matter. What matters is the effort with what is given, and I think that that's a little more important. In reference to the idea of looking good to feel good to looking good, I think the reason why people who take better care of themselves physically will always feel better than the people who don't is because at the end of the day, you still have a sense of reinforcement of your image because you took care of yourself physically. And taking care of yourself physically is not just a shallow form of discipline towards yourself. It's also beneficial in long term. And as we find out with more research and studies, that the more you take care of yourself physically and the more involved you are with fitness throughout the aspect of your life, the more cognitively aware you are going to be when you're much, much older, and the more healthy in general, I guess, is the overarching point. I think that in certain times where you feel good, and so because you feel good, you think you look good. The reason why it can be a little rocky is because what if, you're not happy with where you are physically and you feel good in a certain time, you may look back in the mirror and that might tear you back down. And I think that happens in the case of many men where, they had something good happen and then they go home and they look at themselves in the mirror with the sense of success that they may have felt. And I think sometimes that the idea of where they still are physically, which they're not happy with, a lot of people aren't happy if they are obese or overweight. I know that they try to push this idea of acceptance in reference to that, but no one's really happy of where they are, and they know that. And so I think that can kind of get in the way of the successes that may happen in your life if we don't pursue any form of discipline in the areas of our life that would naturally reinforce what we think of ourselves.
How do you feel about that, Trevor?
You're insane for that. I can't believe you fucking did that.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. She was so pretty, and she just rated you 9 on 10.
Dude.
Do you not feel good about that?
Yeah, it's nice. That was fuck.
What are the odds you ask her out?
Honestly, the first thing I thought, I'm not gonna lie to you, was she's just being nice.
You think she's into you?
No.
You think if you asked her out, she'd say?
It's crazy that that's the natural perception too, because a lot of women give ratings on the essence of positivity, and not to bash on the opinions of women. It's just when women rate other women, it's always like on this high scale, but when men rate other men, it's like it's on this brutally realistic scale. And I just always found that difference between men and women to be kind of comical in that sense.
Say no?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's older and very pretty.
Convince Trevor, after 20 minutes of deliberation on this chair, to go and ask the girl that we just spoke to out on a date. 20 minutes of being insanely nervous. Let's find out. What happened?
That was super chill.
What happened?
Like, she just said she had a boyfriend, and I was like, okay, no problem. And then she said, like, respect on having the balls to come up to me. I was like, thanks.
How do you feel?
Yeah, that was a joke. But it's also, like, it's tough because she's just such a nice person. Can you stop? This is so awkward.
Everything that has happened in this video is leading up to this one moment, which is actually setting one of my friends up on a first date.
This is David, one of my good friends. He is one of the most confident, charismatic people I know when he's around people that he's comfortable with, but when he isn't, he's very shy, especially around women. I actually threw this event a few weeks ago where I invited 50 strangers from all different countries to an outdoor picnic. At that picnic, David was there and he met this girl and they hit it off. They were talking the entire time and I kept nudging him to ask her for her number and ask her out, but he couldn't pull the trigger. I want my friend to be happy and I believe that this woman has a chance of making him happy. And if it makes him too nervous to do that, well then what are good friends for? So that's my job today.
This is Dennis. Dennis is roommates with Elena. So Elena's the girl on this date and Dave is my friend. He's the guy on this date. We're gonna go tell Elena right now that she's about to be set up on a blind date. What do you think her reaction's gonna be?
She's gonna be excited. I don't know, she likes this kind of stuff.
Hi.
How are you? I'm making a video that's about the dating world, and part of that video is setting up two people on a blind date.
That's so cool. I've never been to a blind date.
No?
Yeah. Yes.
Tonight is the night. I'm just really curious to know David's reaction when he sees Elena. Like you heard in the story before, he was too nervous to ask her out in person and on text. It's very cute, but at the same time, it's a very sad reality when a lot of guys can't ask the girl that they really like out because they're just too afraid of getting rejected.
What's up, YouTube? My name's David. I'm going on a blind date and I am stressed as fuck. I am so stressed, bro. I was like out in my office just like, and they're like, Dave, what's wrong? And I'm like, guys, I have a date tonight. Oh, isn't that a good thing? I'm like, I am so stressed. I don't know, what do you do on a date? Where do your hands go? What do you ask? And they're like, how was your week? And I'm like, thanks. Do I look nice? YouTube, comment below. Do I look nice? Oh, I'm so nervous. Wow, look at that.
Marta. Stop it.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
How was it?
It was fun.
If you could offer some solutions on how someone could better date or find love, what would you say?
I think the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So like work with what you have, found a person,
Damn.
but also know when to leave. Because some people get too comfortable and stay. And
It's
you
powerful.
need to know when to leave.
Be honest and try being yourself. There's someone out there that will like you for who you are.
Get off Facebook, get off Instagram. The best thing you could give a person is your attention. If you give that person your attention and it shows that you're trying, I think that's already a good step in the right direction.
Talk about your feelings, talk about your problems, get advice, outsource help.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah,
Like you
shoot
got
your
nothing
shot.
to lose.
In this video, I've spoken a lot about dating problems and why it's hard for people to find the right person. It's not just a matter of compatibility, it's also a matter of other external factors like timing. In my case, there's one person that
I've met that made me feel really good, and I haven't seen her in 7 months. We were in a long distance relationship and got to a point where it wasn't making any sense, so decided to take a break. It's been painful, and it's that person's birthday in a few days. I'm thinking right now, what if I fly out and surprise her for her birthday? This could end completely terribly, but it could also end really well, given how much I'm thinking about her and hopefully how much she's thinking about me. I guess if I've learned anything from this video, it's probably that the risk far outweighs the consequence when you're doing something for the right reasons.
I mean, he has a point there, right? Genuine intention
There we go.
leads to genuine effort. And you can't really be upset with yourself after that. You know, you tried, you did what you could.
Oh my. Happy birthday! No!
Is all hope lost?
People who are single are unhappy. People who are married are unhappy. It's like everyone seems to be freaking unhappy. And that's the other thing. It's that endless ladder, right? Everyone wants better. You gotta be happy with what you got.
If you like this video, then you are definitely gonna like this video right here. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do so. I'm Will, and as always, it's a mindset. See you next time.
So that was Sprout's video, why dating today is nearly impossible. I mean, it's a change of pace. It was a change of pace. It was a lot far more optimistic than some of the videos that we've seen. Most of the videos that we've seen is why no one wants to do this and why they're doomed and why they're screwed and why that group over there ain't got no reason to live. This was obviously a change of pace, and it ended on a happy note because he took his chance and he was basically living by the example that he put forth in the video. Now, could it have all been scripted? Could it have been blah, 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 blah. Yeah, who cares? The point is that there's obviously several points that we took away from the video, and that's how mindfulness can lead to greater senses of confidence and how having a perspective to cultivate what you have in front of you can often lead to greater senses of success in relationally than always walking around with a sense of Tinder brain. I think the reason why dating is impossible today is, well, for many variables and conditions, but I see two glaring points, and that's the idea of ego and commitment. Now, ego is obviously going to be in reference of what we think we deserve and what we think we're owed, as well as how fragile we might be with our perspective and our image. In other words, how fearful we may be in rejection and what that fear can cultivate in ourselves to be some very nasty type behavior where we're quick to brush people off and get away from things and then isolate ourselves and justify our isolation. Obviously, that's never healthy, but that's eventually what we cripple ourselves down to. And we minimize ourselves down to this thing where it's like, nah, it's better here. So at least I can't get hurt and it can't get any worse. And I'm telling you right now, that's a little box. And if you think you're free there, you're not. You're caged, and you caged yourself on the basis of what you're afraid of. Now, if we look at commitment, dating apps have single-handedly destroyed commitment, or what was left of it, in several cultures. And I think that when we take away the traditional values of how a man and woman, or people who care for each other, involve themselves into each other's lives, I feel like we lost something great about why relationships were powerful. And because we lost more of that, people are starting to see more of a justification on being single, or being single and then hopping around, which isn't single. You're going from relationship to relationship. You're involving yourself with one person to the next, to the next, to the next. That's not single. Single is the idea that there's no romance in your life whatsoever. To me, that's the definitive concept of being single, which means not romantically involved with anything or anyone. And a lot of people can say, well, I did this for fun, I did that for fun. At the end of the day, you have to be romantically involved with anyone to have any kind of anything with them. And that means emotionally involved, physically involved, whatever. These are all passions, right? And so when we involve passions, that's a sense of physical or primalistic romance, and that happens from time to time. And the reason why commitment is so important is because if we never learn to commit ourselves to singular things, then we never learn the importance of applying disciplines to those things to learn how to develop and build. I feel like we as a younger society, or even younger than myself, have lost the idea of or importance of building things. And when we lose out on that, it gets pretty dark in the world of relationships, you know. And then you mix that in with the concept of ego. Obviously there's more to it, but it's a nightmare of a culture. I mean, you got people that naturally blame technology, naturally blame hookup culture. And I think that there's a lot of evidence and validity to these words. And I think that the idea that people are now safer with being single or okay with being single, it's almost like, yeah, I see your opinion and I see why it makes sense. However, my opinion on that is that it sucks that it makes sense. That doesn't mean that has to be the reality. And I think that I will never accept that solidarity of people to just break away from natural human communication. It is such a biological tendency to communicate and explore relationships. To take that from us because of our ego, to take that from us because of the corroded commitment that exists in current dating culture, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And the more we believe that is right, the more this will corrode over time. The concept of biological predisposition still exists. For anyone that wants to say that kind of take is a little overrated, you can't cast away some of the most significant forms of evidence because it doesn't help your argument. It still exists. And we as people still have our tendencies, our needs. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs does involve a lot of different human communication and connection. Now, granted, that theory has remained a theory, but it has held true historically. And I think that that's something that we can look at from time to time to see what we truly need and why we're bitter and why we suffer and why we've accepted certain variations of suffering. Sometimes all it takes is talking to people and letting go of the idea of what we're afraid of, because I think that our fear is typically the chains that keep us grounded, not the idea that we live by disciplines and commitment. With that being said, thank you to everyone for watching the video. If you liked the video, like it. If you enjoyed the content so far, consider subscribing. If you disliked the video, dislike it. Hopefully you never see me again. And for anyone that thinks that there's more variables to it, let me know in the comment section down below for what you think is going wrong with dating culture today. Obviously, I brought forth two concepts. I elaborated a little bit, but go ahead and elaborate yours as well. Let me know your perspective. So thanks again, and I'll go ahead, see you next time.